Welcome to the Skin Philosophy Edit with your host, myself, Annalouise Kenny. I'm here to bring to you the knowledge and skills to level up your business. We are speaking to industry experts across the industry to make sure that you're getting your knowledge in skincare, equipment, ingredients, and everything else you need to make sure you have the best of your business. Welcome back to the Skin Philosophy Edit with myself, Annalouise, and today we have Mariam Abbas with us today, and she is skin specialist, facialist for the last 10 years she's been training from, and she brings with us a wealth of experience. It's great to have you in, Mariam. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So let's start at the beginning. What made you decide to get into this industry?
Well, I think I always really enjoyed skincare. I enjoyed taking care of my skin. I can't say I was very good at it. I was just doing what everybody does, buying all the products that I could get my hands on. I didn't study skincare from my college education was completely different. I studied economics and law, and then I feel really lucky that I was at home with my kids. I got to make that choice. But while I was a mum, I was spending all of my time at different clinics, getting treatments, going into medi-spas. And one day I came up with this idea that I felt there were gaps, and I said I want to own my own medi-spa. And a lot of people thought I'd kind of, was losing the plot a bit when I said I want to go back to beauty school.
Because law.
Because I just felt that there was authenticity in learning the science and learning the trade and then going on to owning a medi-spa. And, 10 years down the line, I'm not interested in owning my medi-spa anymore. I started training and, I just went on from one course to the other, and I was just enjoying it so much. And it kind of made me realize that I was spending so much money at different clinics. I was having treatments, but I never knew what they were doing for me.
Yeah.
Nobody really explained what, if they're doing a peel, nobody would say, I'm using this acid at this pH for you. It's a little bit of education for the client, but I think it goes a long way for people to feel like they're making informed decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that was one of the things that I really wanted to change, just the education for the client. And I now sort of have a boutique practice. I work out of the clinic Holland Park. I've built my own brand. And I've realized that owning a medi-spa is kind of more of a business venture than being a skin specialist.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you decide to go back. How did you decide on where you were going to get educated?
That was really tricky.
Yeah.
But I was quite shameless in wanting information from people. I wasn't scared of asking questions. I went to the aesthetics sort of spa I used to have my treatments at. I met with the owner and I said, tell me what to do.
Yeah, brilliant.
And, she put me in touch with her therapist and she's like, tell Mariam what to do. Where should she go? I used to hound the poor lady at one of the EF Medi spas.
Yeah.
She was the training coordinator. She's such a lovely, helpful lady. I would just walk in and say, is she there? Find her and say, tell me what I should do next.
Yeah.
Is it Sedesco or Siptac or which color do you think? And so, there's so many helpful people.
Yeah.
I even now, if I'm thinking of investing in a new device, it's so easy to just send an Instagram message, to somebody else who has the device. Just ask them, how's your experience?
That's such a good point, because we forget to do that. Just ask we kind of keep to ourselves, and really we should be like more of a community, of a networking community, that we work together to go, don't buy this machine, do buy this machine. And that is a very good idea, a good way of working.
Absolutely. I feel like it's the best way to learn as well. And there are so many helpful people. I think that there will be lots of people who ignore emails, who don't respond, who might give a no, but then there's so many yeses and there's so many helpful people.
Yeah. So then you went and did your skincare qualification and then you decided you were going to open up after a couple of years, because you have said to me that you wanted to make sure you had all the information you before. So then you went and opened up just straight.
No, I went to work with the doctor first.
Okay, amazing.
I was very confused. I wasn't sure whether the right thing to do was to work with someone to get experience, start with somebody, or just set up on my own, which I think was a great experience, because you see how other people are working in the industry, and it kind of helps you figure out what you want to do, how you want to do it. And I think I lasted there about 6 months. and then it was scary, but I did start off on my own.
Yeah, and I only said this yesterday to someone. The best place to work and gain experience are the worst places, because you really actually learn so much in those places about what you don't want to do, what, you know, how you would like it. So it is great, even though if, you know, it's quite tough, it's good to get that experience first.
No, absolutely. I feel the growth is always in the contrast.
Exactly. And so then you decided, after the 6 months, you decided to open your own place.
I did. So I went to a clinic in Marylebone, where I had actually, I spoke to lots of different clinics. We were also at that time going into lockdown. So I spoke to a clinic in Knightsbridge who were opening up. It was a brand new clinic, and they went under after lockdown. So I decided to rent out a space for myself in a bigger clinic where, you know, it was 6 rooms, lots of different practitioners doing their own thing. So I worked there for about 6 months. 2.5 to 3 years.
Oh, wow.
I did that,
Okay, so when you were going to, because people listening, what we mainly find is the listeners are therapists that have just started the industry or, you know, thinking about coming in and that. And the hardest part is that opening your first place. So how did you decide the name? You know, how did you decide logo? How did you decide? Because I remember years ago, a therapist asked me, should I use my own name as a clinic? And I was like, no, just think of a name, think of a brand, because you'll never be able to separate yourself from that name. So what made you decide yours, or did you think of other things?
So the logo, I think, was between me and friends and my sisters. We were kind of, I had someone working on it who's an artist, and he's really creative, and he totally got where I was coming from. And I always knew the colors that I wanted in the logo. And initially I actually named it something else.
Did you?
So I wasn't just working under my own name. I kept thinking it has to explain what the business is. So I went with Mariam Abbas Skin Aesthetics.
Okay.
But it just wasn't working for me. I didn't like it. So I changed it, and I just stuck with my name. And I think it's, I feel that you become the brand.
Yes.
And I felt that when I saw other skin businesses, people come to you for you. You know, lots of clinics can own the same machines. They can give the same treatments. But you won't have the same clientele everywhere. People come back to you because of the connection they make with you. Because of how safe they feel, or how much they feel they can trust you. Because, you know, clients are very vulnerable when they come in. You know, skin issues, appearance issues, all of those things make people very vulnerable. If I was to, you know, lie down right now for a treatment with you, it would immediately kind of change the power dynamic. So I felt that it was, I now have, like, you know, my name on my sort of clinic branding. But if I branch out now and do anything different, I can always, you know, have a company or a department within that. It just makes it like the big umbrella company. True.
And to be honest, that is actually what I feel now, is people are buying in for like a person themselves. So it is a good call now. It was like years ago, it was like not a done thing. But now it's like the done thing. So you were ahead by doing that. Yeah.
Well, I felt that that's how I chose places.
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't have the stats, so I don't know whether I'm, what I'm saying is correct when you look at the numbers from clinics. But I always felt that clinics that work, that are associated with a facialist or with a skin specialist, always seem to attract more clients and more loyal clients than clinics that run as businesses, where you have more of like a conveyor belt going on, where you might find one therapist at one appointment and then you're passed down to somebody else the next time.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you were taking this room and you had to decide on the machines, and you were kind of looking around. You were going for more results or results-driven facials or results with holistics. You know, how were you basing that branding of opening?
It was actually very tricky. Because I do suffer from shiny new object syndrome. I felt that unless I had every machine under the sun,
you did not go and buy every machine.
I wouldn't be able to start. But I started with the treatments that I loved.
Okay.
I think one of the best decisions I have a very corneotherapy-led approach.
Yes.
I have studied corneal therapy, and at that time it wasn't so clear. I hadn't completed my corneotherapy course, but I already knew that there were some things that I didn't like.
Yeah.
So I went for anti-inflammatory skincare products. I ended up investing in the Bionic, which is an anti-inflammatory machine. It's a laser that really sort of helps to bring down inflammation in the skin. It helps with, improving skin quality in the long term. And then needling, which was always my favorite. So those are the things that I started with.
Oh, yeah. And skin needling is a great all-rounder as well.
Yeah.
So we said about the word of mouth. So how did you start building up the clients before you had that word of mouth? Because I find with, even I had the training, I think about 3 or 4 years before I had the clinic in London. I had the clinic in Dublin before that. And, you're standing there and you're like, okay, I have the clinic, I have the equipment, where's the people? So how did you do that start?
So I think the first place to start is always the friends and family.
Yes. Yeah.
And within that, I think you'll always have the friends who back you from day one. I think I was very lucky. I had friends who were trusting me with their faces from day one.
Yeah.
There were times when I was freaking out, even at the medical clinic, thinking, what if I don't get the skin pen needling cartridge on properly?
Yeah.
What if I can't do that in front of the client? Maybe I should do it before and keep the pen ready. But I had really helpful friends.
Yeah.
I think it was, starting out with friends and family, just the confidence that you get from there. And then it just slowly starts building up. I think the first time I had someone book in online and it was a random appointment. I didn't know who it was. And I was just sitting there thinking 2 days before the appointment, oh my God, I wonder how this person found me.
Yeah, who is this person? Yeah, I remember that feeling. And it's like, because like, especially when it's your own and they're specifically coming for you and you're just like, oh God, it's daunting. And so you've built up the business over the last few years, and you've obviously started doing well on social media and everything like that now. And how did you get into that? Like because it's not natural generally for people, to go, okay, well, I'll start going on social media, I'll start talking, it's hard at the start.
I think that was, so I didn't know anything about Instagram when I started. To build the practice, I did try lots of other things like newsletters. I tried hiring places in different areas near my house. I would, I tried to do these consultation days, just inviting people to come in and have consultations and free facials at the start. And I realized that actually wasn't a great idea, because you just pull the wrong client when you're giving free treatments. It doesn't really build a clientele. I then, in lockdown, I did a course on Instagram, and I had to learn how to use Instagram because I am technologically challenged and I didn't know. I remember the first time I really proudly reshared something Victoria Beckham had shared, because she was using cosmetics and I used to work with cosmetics, and I thought, this is amazing, I can just use this. And within the next few seconds, I got a message from a friend saying, take it off.
Really?
It has, I think she signs everything off with love you or kisses, Victoria. She's like, it says kisses Victoria. What are you doing? So I learned how to use Instagram, and I think I really had to force myself to stop hiding behind my logo.
Okay.
And just one of my friends actually threw me in the deep end with when people suddenly started having Instagram lives. I got a call from her one day and said, she said, my spin class is having a live on skincare, and I've suggested you. So you're going to get a call and you have to say yes, and the live is in 2 days. So I actually sat down with all of the files and books that I'd ever been through, thinking they could ask me anything. So I think that was the start. And then after that, I quickly, had 4 or 5 lives straight after. Anyone and everyone that I could think of, a nutritionist I had worked with, a trainer I'd worked with, a friend who's a jewelry designer. I just scheduled lives in, and I thought, until I don't have that hanging over my head, I won't do it. So that was the start. And initially I was I was micromanaging everything. I had to write every word, check every word, check every picture. But, you then slowly realize that it's more about just putting the content out. And people who connect with your energy and with your messaging will connect. And, you can't please everyone.
No. And that actually brings up it. Do you ever get that negative side? Because there is a negative side. I'm not big enough to get it, so it's great. But
so far, thankfully, not. No.
Yeah, because it's like you see it on but these are huge accounts, and you'll see someone making some comments. You're just like, that must be really tough to take. Like not anything to do with beauty or skin or anything like that, but just in generic Instagram influencers or TikTok influencers, and you'll see people having their 2 cents that they mightn't even have watched the clip properly, and you're like, God, I don't want to get that big because.
So I think you have to be quite thick-skinned. I've seen that on live discussions that I've been listening to, where people suddenly start making really strange comments on the live.
Oh, really?
And, when you're hosting a live, there's not much you can do about it. So I think everybody now understands that you're always going to have this. And it's just something you need to ignore.
That would be very distracting on the live. I'd be like, was that so it's not nice. But and so where do you see your clinic or your business going in the next few years?
I think education is a big thing for me. At the moment, I just want to keep working as I am. People keep asking me if I'm ever going to think about products, and never say never, but it's something that I've never really thought about. I feel like I've worked with such amazing products. I don't think we need more. And
we don't. So much.
So, but I think with time, initially when you start, you don't know who your ideal client is. You don't know what your niche should be or will be. So I think I'm getting a better sense of what sort of clients I want to work with, what my niche would be in the industry, what the USP should be. All of that comes slowly with experience and with time, and with, getting comfortable in the treatment room and with your clients. So I think I'm just enjoying the ride right now. And if I do, I would want to build a more education focused platform, but education for clients.
Yeah. And so at the moment you have your treatments, and what a lot of people find difficult is actually figuring out what the treatments, the machines, everything like that. Also, the other thing was the skincare. So what do you have in the clinic? What do you like skincare wise, as we're talking about skincare?
So I think I stumbled upon these products a few years ago.
Okay.
I had made a mistake in typing out a name. I was looking for a different range.
Okay.
And I ended up finding Dermavisuals, and I called them up.
Oh, yeah.
And Dermavisuals is the only corneotherapy-based product line in the world right now. So I've been working with them since. And then through Dermavisuals, I found Neogenesis, which is a US brand. They work with stem cells-based molecules. They work with stem cells molecules, and the products are all stem cells based. So they're anti-inflammatory. They were formulated for chemotherapy patients.
Oh, wow.
So they're very safe and they're very clean. And I then sort of I've got a Lumiere MD, which is a really great sort of, line of actives. I tend to mix and match the products.
Yeah. I've heard amazing things about Dermavisuals, and they're really they're very particular.
They are.
Very particular. And everybody who has Dermavisuals, they love them. They love the results and everything like that. So yeah, that's a nice one that isn't really blown up marketing wise, but is actually a very good results one. I haven't experienced the Neogenesis one, but that's interesting.
They're very similar. They're not big on marketing.
Yeah.
But I've worked very closely with them over the last few years. We started working together in lockdown, and we did lots of case studies together on their products. Extremely helpful. I think with products and devices, it's really important to have a good relationship with the companies. Even with my machines, after you've used them for a while, I feel I need to go back and get refresher training.
Yeah.
I'm one of those annoying people who keeps going back, keeps emailing and saying, today one of my clients had this, so what do you think about this? And how, because the protocols change. The machines get upgraded. There's new research coming out all the time, which changes things. So I've found both the product lines and the devices. I think I've been lucky in that I'm working with really nice teams of people who are very helpful.
I don't think it's luck. I think you've researched well, and you contacted people and you did your homework. And that's a lot of people, they don't know how to do that, or they just don't know how to do it. I don't think people intentionally go, I'm not going to research. I think they just don't know how to, and you knew how to get the best. So it's worked out well. Has there been a down point or a struggle that you found setting up this business, changing, your life with this? What?
I think it was initially it was finding where to work from.
Yeah.
Finding the right sort of setup, because I wasn't opening up my own clinic. I've always worked with other doctors and professionals within a bigger clinic. It's important to get the right fit. I think things don't work well if you're not working with the right people, and that's so I think that was it was a bit hard at the start to find the right place. But again, I feel like it's, when I look back, it's all been leading towards something, and it's all worked out well.
Learning something, so then you can go on to the next stage, because without it you probably couldn't have done that next stage.
Because you need the stepping stones.
Exactly. And lastly, with say the growth of the clinic, with the growth of your business, do you ever think you'll start like taking in more people, taking on staff, trying to, like you said at the very start, do it as a business more than just the treatments?
Well, I had thought of doing that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I did. I sort of put out a feeler on LinkedIn, and I have to say I got such an amazing response just 3 or 4 therapists who came back to me, and they were amazing. But then I went to the clinic in Holland Park. At that time, I was thinking of just opening up my own clinic.
Yeah.
I dropped that idea and I went to Holland Park, to the clinic Holland Park. But I think eventually, when I do have my own space, and I want to continue with corneal therapy, and anti-inflammatory skincare. Yeah. At that stage, I will, look at expanding. Yeah.
And to finish it off, is there any piece of advice you'd like to give any therapists that are coming into the market or just developing or opening their own business?
Oh, there's so much advice. I think the first thing I would say is don't look for shortcuts in the training. I think it's really important to come out of whichever course you're doing, do it really well. Find a course that trains you really well, very thoroughly, so you come out, super good at what you want to do. And there's no right or wrong way to start. You might want to work with someone. You might want to work on your own. You might want to just work as an esthetician in somebody's clinic. You just need to keep your head down and keep, just working on becoming really good at what you do. Yeah. And when you look back after a couple of years, you see the growth when you're just focusing on the product and your personal growth. Yeah. But I think alongside that, what I would say is there's a lot to learn from peers and colleagues. So it's important to be supportive of each other and collaborate because there are millions of people looking to have treatments. Yeah. And there are plenty of clients for everyone. It's never a competition. Yeah. So it's really nice to have that sort of network and support from amongst the community. Yeah, I agree. And it's very hard to bring this community together. Yeah. But it should be. And it's funny because we're based out in India as well. And out there, they could be in direct competition with each other and they still help each other out. Do you know, it's a very good way of working. And I'm just like, that should be what it's like here. That's lovely. So how is the experience running a training academy in India? Major benefits, major loopholes you have to jump through, obstacles that come in the way. But overall, people are amazing. The view on lifestyle is amazing, like on life. The way people are appreciative of the small things. The industry in this whole thing is amazing, like aesthetics, beauty, skin. And because the economy is growing so much there, it's so interesting to see. It's so interesting to see that shift of, coming from, like, India was obviously known as extreme wealth and extreme poor. And now there's a huge middle, that's really, people are having a better lifestyle. I love the place. I love it. I love it out there. And I just love experiencing new things. Like, life is about experience. That's amazing. So do you travel? Do you go across? I'm literally based out there now. Oh, wow. Yeah. So I moved out there officially a couple of months ago. As in, I have an apartment out there. The clinic we're opening a skin clinic in a couple of days' time, so I'm flying back this evening. And so it's basically between here and the UK, back and forth. Wow, amazing. And how have you sorry, I've started asking the questions.
No, it's good. It's brilliant.
I'm pretty curious. You've spent so much time working in the industry as a facialist, as a skin specialist, and you have experience with working as an educator.
Yeah.
How were the two experiences?
It's funny because now with the clinic, so I'm going to go step back into treatments, which I haven't done for 4 years. So being a therapist who cares about people, it means it can be quite draining because you're really caring about every single person. Absolutely. And you're listening to them. And at the end of the day, you're zonked. And the change from doing treatments into education was because at the time I would have been about maybe 4 years ago. So I'm 20 years doing it. So I was 16 years doing treatments. So at that time, I felt, okay, I don't need to be doing it every day. Education is amazing. Education's amazing anyways. Like seeing people light up with knowledge and learning new things and them feeling achieved for themselves is amazing. So that switch over was great. But now at the moment, switching back into treatments, because I haven't done it for 4 years, I'm looking forward to it. And especially with a country, India's so huge. I don't know how you can call it a country. It's like a continent. But within a place that people are not so, they're grateful and they just love the treatments and treatment results. Whereas we've gotten so used to having treatment results. It's like, well, why aren't I 10 years younger with a treatment? There's a lot more demands on the treatments than there was years ago. So I'm looking forward to doing the treatments and going back into that. But education, being an educator is amazing. It's great. It really is. It's so rewarding to see people like we have, say like yourself, whether it's they've been in finance, they've, whatever, they've changed over and they're starting out at start and they're like, well achieved in their own life and then they're coming back having to learn from the beginning. And a lot of people, and I don't know if they come into the industry going, it can't be that hard. And then they're like, oh my God, they meant to learn. It's overwhelming. So seeing people and they really want to learn it and seeing them learn it and then they get confidence in themselves. It's a great thing to do.
That's really special. I remember when I went back to beauty school, when I was doing the initial courses, I started with anatomy and physiology and it was like a beauty school. We had to wear a uniform and they were very strict and I always had an issue. I was like, I want to bring my coffee in. And how can anyone tell me I can't have my coffee? And they were like, there are no hot drinks allowed.
Or you have to wear lipstick all the time. Like you have to be made up. I'm like, God.
Well, you can't take calls. I'd be getting calls from my school pickup. No, but I have to take this call.
It was very backward those days. Like it was very, we had to wear a white dress. White dress, white stockings and white shoes. And we had to have full makeup every day and our hair slicked back.
Wow.
Yeah. Those dress nurse gowns? Like, honestly, something from the 80s. This is only 20 years ago. So, yeah, it is. It's intimidating at the start and it's unusual to change over. But, yeah, it's that confidence you see where someone goes, you know what? I know what I'm talking about now. Or, I'm getting there. People can be harder on themselves though. The people who want everything perfect, they can be too hard on themselves and they don't realise their achievements. And it's that kind of sitting back and going, do you know what? I've learned a lot. I've done a lot by adapting my life, changing it and doing this with the skin, with a whole new business, whole new lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. It is sort of starting afresh, really. It's, it's almost like redefining yourself when you're doing something new. While friends and family can be supportive, but you're kind of asking them to look at you in a completely different role. And that takes a while. Sometimes it can take a while for them to get used to the new you.
And it is redefining role. And like beauty is seen as a lesser thing. It is without a shadow of a doubt. That has changed over the last few years. So people who are like skin specialists or studying skin, it's like, oh God, you know about skin? Do you know about this? So people, the way they look at us is different now. But back then, people are like, you're doing beauty. You're a lawyer. Like, why are you doing beauty? We had a judge, it was one of our students in the last couple of years. And it's like, why is a judge doing it? And I'm like, she wants to own a clinic. Like, do you know, it's okay. It's like, not. So, yeah, it is. It must have been tough with that changeover.
Yeah, I think people were just waiting to see how long I'd carry on.
It's a fad.
And then it turned into me wanting to work.
Yeah.
And I think that's when people thought, oh my God, she's actually really serious about this.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's good. It's good to stick at it. And that's what people, I think, are afraid of most, because we don't get the young ones out of school. We get the people changing their career. Like, that's the type of courses we deliver. And most of the time it's like, God, can I really do that? You know, like, start off my own business, get clients in, because that's different than going into a job, you know, after uni. And it's like that big whole shift of giving up all your security and starting something completely new at an older, like, not a young age. You're like, okay, you're 30s or whatever. You're just going, okay, I'm changing my life now.
But you know, I think I had that slight sort of fear or insecurity when I was starting out, because I was in a class with really young girls. You know, when we had our break, I'd sit with my coffee or my salad, and they were all having their crisps and their muffins and you know, I just thought, how can anyone eat like that?
You were like, I'm going to give out to you.
But I always thought that anyone my age had, you know, 20 years on me in the industry. And how would I ever get to a stage where I would feel accomplished, or I would feel like I've had, you know, I've got some good experience under my belt now. But then I realized that actually life wisdom and life experience actually takes you a long way.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a little bit like, it's, you know, if you teach an older child something, they learn it really fast.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying with a toddler, it will take them much longer to get there. So.
Yeah. And we were having that conversation actually yesterday. It's the want to learn. Because when you're coming in from, like, after uni, you've experienced life. You're like, I want to learn that information now. I appreciate information. Whereas when you're younger, you're like, do I need to learn that? Do you know it? It's like, do I have to?
I remember when I wrote my last LLM exam, I promised myself I would never, ever write another exam in my life. I walked out and I thought, I'm never going to do this again. And then when I was doing my SIPTAC exams, I was so excited. Because I felt, you know, the theory, the exams, I can just get through these. This is the fun bit.
Yeah.
You know, the practical was the scary bit.
Yeah. That happens with a lot of people, because, again, it's the same thing. They've learned how to learn. But then they're like, someone is watching me doing something. Like, what does that involve? It's intimidating. And the beauty sector, the beauty examiners can be intimidating.
I remember I'd rehearsed this speech when I was doing my microneedling facial. I had the model, and the examiner was walking around the exam room, and I made the entire speech. I spoke to the model and I explained everything to her, and the examiner kind of missed it because she was with somebody else. Then after a while I had to say to my model, I said, I will repeat this over and over again until she isn't here and listening to me. And she needs to see that I'm saying something to you, so just bear with me, put up with it.
It's good you did that, because I actually had a case of that in the exams. I think it was a few weeks ago, but basically, like, someone had explained something and the examiner said, have you? And they're like, okay, I'll do it again then. It's intimidating, but at least you had it learnt off, like that you had it off the tongue, because some people are like, especially in exams, your brain shuts down. That monkey shuts down. It's like, no, someone's watching me. I can't think. So having it learnt off definitely helps. Okay, Mariam, it was so lovely speaking to you, and thank you for sharing all about your experience and how you've gotten through the industry and everything with your business and everything. I'm sure people will find it very informative and helpful.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely to be here and chat to you.
Thank you. Thanks.